Hey everyone, my name's Avey. Welcome to a little bit of a different type of video than I usually like to make. This one will be unedited instead of the pretty heavily edited ones I do tend to make. And it will be about the patch notes for the 0.14.0.0 patch that was posted 2 hours ago. This will be a very, very interesting patch. There's actually a ton of new stuff that I'm expecting. I haven't seen these patch notes yet, so let's get straight into them. There will be a wipe, yeah, we've known that for a couple of days now, and expected it for even longer. New content. Ground Zero. The Ground Zero location, situated in the city center of Tarkov, has been added to the game. Yes, this is the new map that's supposed to be suited for new players. Location features a large number of infrastructure facilities of the modern city, banks, cafes, blah blah blah, yeah. And this is towered by the skyscrapers of Tarkov. In the very center of the location is the main Russian branch of Office of Terror Group, where the original conflict began. The most violent clashes between USEC PMC operatives and Oman, which I don't know what they are, took place on the facility's premises. The location is intended for beginner players from level 1 to 20. PMCs of higher levels 20 plus will not be able to access this location. Scavs will have access to the location at any player level. New starter quests have been added to the location. Visual cues for the new players have been added to the location. Quests debut checking renamed to background check. Shortage supplier gunsmith part 1 received updated text descriptions. I have a lot of thoughts about especially these two changes, because since the location is intended for level 1 to 20, what happens if you only main that map and you level up to level 20 by only playing that map, right, with your PMC, and then you've played so much of the map because you like it so much that you can no longer play it? That seems like kind of an anticlimactic system for accessing the map. Also, new starter quests have been added to the location. What happens if, for some reason, you just play some other map, for example, the new Shoreline, which we know is getting a rework for 20 levels, and you don't do the introduction quest, and then you're just stuck because you can't access the map anymore because you're over level 20 and you have starter quests on there? That seems a bit weird. A new boss, Kolante, has been added to Streets of Tarkov. He is a former officer. Yes, this is all background stuff. You can read up if you want. Even before the conflict, he often provided protection to the local businessmen. For example, his good relations with Kaban are well known. Okay, people have been theorizing because of the posted picture yesterday on the BSG Twitter that it's his brother. He's not. He has good relations with him, and apparently after work eating habits. Kolante has a small number of guards, prefers to stay in one position, and occasionally patrols his territory. If he feels he has the upper hand, he may switch to his police baton. He lives in the area around Klimov Shopping Mall and the Tarkov Academy of the Ministry of Internal Affairs. Okay, so he's something like Tagilla. Like, he'll have a weapon with a couple of bodyguards, but if he actually thinks he might kill you, he's gonna switch to his baton and beat the shit out of you. Okay, great. Kaban's new guards. Boss Kaban is joined by his closest associates, Basmak and Gus. Since the time of Kaban's active involvement in business, they have served as his loyal associates, solving many delicate issues for him. Basmak and Gus always stay close to Kaban and charge into battle for him. They prefer their unique clothes to their battle gear, though there are occasional exceptions. Basmak has a special fondness for machetes and Gus for crowbars. Okay, so it's basically like the goons, where Knight and Big Pipe rush you first and then Bird Eye follows. Even though that's not really true all of the time, that's usually how it works. And these two, Basmak and Gus, will be like small Tagillas. That's going to be interesting. Shoreline rework. Visually reworked most of the landscape, keeping the main point of interests intact. Added a new area, a small cattle farm which is home to smugglers and scavs. Updated the light sources, optimized most of the location, completely redesigned the culling system. Reworked location borders, concrete fence replaced by minefields and snipers in most areas. The location is also slightly expanded in some areas. Reworked some points of interest, including the addition of new quests and activities in several previously empty zones. Some areas have been reworked to improve gameplay, added a river crossing, reworked almost all elevations and sniper positions, as well as scav areas of interest, etc. Added more than 30 new containers and Jaeger stashes. 30 new Jaeger stashes. Okay, probably just, half of that is Jaeger stashes. Fixed over 1,200 visual and minor bugs. Okay. I've probably not even known a tenth of them, so great, I guess. I don't know what they were. Maybe that's just the ones they created during the development of the new areas. Maybe they count that as well. But yeah, the shoreline rework has been highly anticipated, and most of the things we see here are what we've wanted for a long time. Added new areas, optimization, reworked the light sources, which is very nice because sometimes it was a bit buggy. They kept the main points of interest intact, which is really great because the resort is just an area everybody knows. Including the addition of new quests and activities in several previously empty zones. That's actually great, and that's all we've been wanting for years now, so I hope this goes well. I haven't seen the map yet. I haven't played the map yet because the patch is not live, so we'll see about that. I might make a video about that later. But this all sounds very, very good. New weapons, equipment, and loot. So we have a MCX spear, okay. We have the VSK94, 9A91. We have the RPD, the RPDN, and the SKS has had updates for the model and animations. That's all nice. Getting new weapons is always nice. The achievements have been added to the game, where players will receive achievements upon completing various objectives. Earned achievements will not be lost with wipes, so they're permanent. That's very, very nice. You can view the earned achievements on the Achievements tab on the character screen. This is really great for people who are completionists because now there's actually things to work towards even after you get Kappa or things like that. I think this is really, really great and a very nice addition to the game going forward if they keep adding achievements. Hall of Fame. A new hideout zone, Hall of Fame, has been added to the game. The zone serves as a place where you can display mementos. For displaying the dog tags of players of the opposite faction killed by your PMC, you get a bonus to combat skills and leveling. The higher the level, the greater the skill bonus. You can add items to your favorites. Such items will be displayed in your profile. I've always wanted something like this where you can display items in your hideout. I hope it's going to be permanent. I doubt it though. I would like something permanent in the hideout where you can, for example, put pumpkins from a Halloween event and they stay with you or something like that. Just some decoration in the hideout that's yours, right? Just something custom. New hitbox and armor system. The head is divided into separate simple hit zones which coincide with the protection zones of helmets and masks. 3 hit zones have been added to the head area, the throat, neck, and face collider. Thorax and stomach hit zones are divided into front, back, and sides. Pelvic hit zone is divided into front groin and back buttocks. Hits to these zones cause damage to the stomach zone. Okay. Forearm hit zones have been reduced in diameter. That's very, very nice. The death screen now shows more detailed information about the area that was fatally wounded. For example, thorax, upper back. This is really great. Just adding more areas for more detailed damage is very, very nice. But it might sound like a simple thing, but on lower end PCs, this can actually quite possibly be a problem because I know in the previous patches, some people on lower end PCs have had performance issues when they got hit by bullets because it was calculating all of the damage spreading to all of your limbs and stuff. So if they added more zones and the damage calculation is more precise, I just hope it doesn't ruin the game for people on lower end PCs that are already at a disadvantage, and now if you shoot them, then their game lags and they're basically dead. I'm not saying that's how it is, but I just hope that it's not very process intensive, right? For armor, we have 37 ballistic plates that have been added to the game, 7 for the chest section, 6 for the rear section, 20 universal plates. I know this is a very, very, very complicated topic, and most of this will probably be forgotten by 99% of the players before they reach the end of these paragraphs. So I don't want to go into too much detail for this, and it definitely deserves not only its own video, I think its own series of videos, because it's just crazy. This has been anticipated for a very long time. Basically, in every armor, you have slots now for different ballistic plates, and basically you can put any type of plate into any slot that supports that plate. And for example, if you have some plates in your shoulders and back on your vest, and you get hit in the thorax, that plate breaks. You can then take off your armor, take off the plate, and if you killed someone, you can take out the plate from their armor and put it inside of your armor, keeping the rest of the plates you had, because you know they're good and they might be better than the enemy that you killed that had the plates. And so it's just incredibly complicated, right? There's 37 new ballistic plates with tons of armor, and now when you actually wear the armor, the size of the armor will have a significant impact on what protection you have, because for example, the hex grid is a level 6 armor, right, before, but it was very small on your player model. So now, if you wear a hex grid, let's say it's level 6, but you get hit around that hex grid because it's such a small armor, and it has like little actual physical area on your chest, it's not actually going to provide that much protection. So this is definitely fit for another like 50-minute video at least, so maybe that's going to happen. But if you want, I'll leave the link to this. You can read up on this in detail, because there's probably a lot of things. But yeah, that's just the gist of it, and yeah, let's move on. Vaulting and obstacle interaction. Obstacle vaulting has been added to the game. That's really nice. We've been expecting that and anticipating it for a very long time and waiting for it finally. There are 2 types of vaulting: climbing the obstacle and remaining on it. For example, climbing a crate to fire at the enemy from the top of it, or vaulting over the obstacle, for example, jumping over a small fence to take a shortcut. Each of these types has different animations for the different heights, different parameters of stamina and arm stamina consumption, different action speeds, and negative effects. During a sprint, you can jump over obstacles without the goal of climbing them, vaulting. If vaulting is performed while walking, the loudness of such actions will be noticeably lower than jumping and sprinting. Makes sense. For the convenience of overcoming obstacles, an option has been added to the game settings, vaulting over medium obstacles, where you can choose auto or hotkey. If you select auto, your character will climb over medium and low height obstacles by himself. If you select hotkey, you will need to press the jump key to initiate vaulting, but this way you can control the character's actions more precisely. The character now stops if he hits a wall while walking or sprinting. This is amazing. This will unlock so many more spots, so many more plays, and just make the game, I hope, with the animations it has, more fluid overall. So I think this has been needed in the game to make it feel a bit more realistic and a bit more immersive for a very long time. Next up, we have shoulder transitions. The gist of it is that right hand peeking will no longer be necessarily the meta. I mean, it's still going to be the best because you're holding the gun in your right hand, And if you just move your gun to your left shoulder while still holding it in the right-handed way, you're going to have penalties. It's going to sway more, but you can now left-hand peek someone and not be at such a disadvantage like you were before. Control settings. All control settings have been reset to default. Added shoulder transition action. Default is mouse key 4. Added vaulting action. Default key is space, and the press type is continuous. The jump action key has been reassigned to spacebar key with release press type. Try these control settings in game before changing them. Yeah, so you have a default key of mouse button 4 to change from right hand shoulder to left hand shoulder. That's great. Probably going to rebind that. Added vaulting action. So now if you just press space, just tap it, you're going to jump like before. But if you hold down spacebar, you're going to initiate a vault animation or a jump over or jump onto animation, whatever the obstacle in front of you is. Preset ammo loading. You can now save presets for loading ammunition into magazines. Yes, they can be named. They have top, loop, and bottom sections for it. So basically, you can just save a preset for a standard Stanag magazine, for example, into your M4 that you take, where the bottom half or 15 bullets will be M856A1 and the top half is going to be M855A1. So you just tap on that preset and it's going to load it for you. You don't need to take 2 stacks, have them put M856 at the bottom, then put M855 at the top. You know, it's just going to make everything a little bit easier. New recoil mechanics. The recoil mechanic has been improved to make it more realistic and comfortable for players. A special emphasis has been placed on improving the feel of semi-auto and short burst shooting. I have wanted this for so long because I am an enjoyer of DMRs, especially the SR25, the RSAS, and so on. So the way the recoil worked until now was that the first bullet recoil, the first shot recoil, was extremely high, and then it kind of leveled out. So you were punished for semi-auto firing because you were basically always shooting the first bullet, you know, in that spray, since it's semi-automatic. So I hope this fixes a lot of the weapons that had issues with that. Like the AKM, for example, early game is basically unusable full auto, so you usually used it semi-auto, but then tap firing was not really that good of a decision. Whatever. Hopefully this fixes a lot of things and the recoil feels good. We'll have to try it and make a video separately on that. Lightkeeper services. After completing certain Lightkeeper quests, you will be able to unlock the access to the following services. Sacred Amulet service. Lightkeeper gives the character the item Sacred Amulet while the character is wearing the amulet. All cultists on all locations do not attack you unless provoked. Weird but nice. Hopefully it can be worn in the special slot, because if you lose it, then, you know, how often are you going to use that thing? Rogue support service. When a player purchases this service in that raid, rogues will not attack the player who ordered the service regardless of their faction. In addition, rogues will provide fire support by attacking targets that the player who purchased the service has directed their attention to. Zriachi support service. When a player buys the service in that raid, Zriachi will support the player by firing at the targets the player is attacking. This to me sounds a bit useless since Zriachi remains on the island, hopefully. I don't want him wandering around. And a rogue support service is kind of weird because usually by the time you unlock Lightkeeper, you've already done the lighthouse quests inside of the rogue camp, so why would you go there again? Maybe something changed, I don't know. These all seem like weird gimmicky things, but we'll see. Maybe this also deserves a video on its own, just going into depth, trying out different things once we get to that point in the wipe. Weapon rack. You can now add the displayed weapon to your favorites. These weapons will be displayed in your profile. Just some nice, you know, customization of the profile. It's always welcome. Which fits in with the next thing, viewable profiles. Added the ability to view another player's profile page. In a player's profile, you can view year equipped by the player, brief statistics, rare achievements earned, favorite weapons, favorite items. Player profiles can be viewed on any screen of the game, including the raid exit screen after dying to another player. This we did not know about till now, and this is actually huge, because if someone kills you with a white name, you just look at their profile and you see 50 KD, you just insta-report them, right? But if it's like 0.5 KD and it was just a lucky shot, since we still don't have the death cam replay system that Arena has, this will be incredibly helpful, I hope, depending on what stats you can see about a player that you don't have in your friends list. Next up we have AI, adjusted peaceful and combat behavior of AI when moving from one area to another within one location. I mean, they always change something about scavs, and it's always just either making them incredibly OP with aimbot and wallhack, or them being absolute, like, loot pinatas, basically. They don't do anything. So, who knows what this means, right? It could mean anything. There's basically an equivalent of this, or like a synonym in every patch note, so who knows. Balancing changes to trading, change the trader prices and availability of ammunition in the following calibers. Great, so they just say that every ammo is unlocked differently. Trader prices and availability of armor on all loyalty levels. Interesting. Just the various trade offers and barters of weapon attachments and other items. This will be incredibly useful for people doing gunsmith quests, and it probably means there's going to be new gunsmith videos coming out that will optimize the barters and things you need to keep in order to get the quests done for the cheapest. Balancing changes to quests, expanded quest rewards. You will now be rewarded more often with unlocking previously unavailable trade offers, barters, ammo, and armor crafting recipes. That's very nice. I think that should be the way it is. You should do quests and be rewarded with unlocking stuff most of the time, not just like rewards with rubles and some items you'll just sell to therapists anyway. Change the order of skill quests between Friend from the West Part 2 and Setup. New order, Friend from the West Part 2, Setup, Inform means armed, Chumming, Bullshit, Silent Caliber. Interesting. Before it was Silent Caliber before Bullshit, if I remember correctly, or was it? I know Setup and Silent Caliber have been changed, so I hope for the better, not for the worse. Change the quest objectives for Punisher Part 2 and Punisher Part 4. The Tarkov Shooter Part 4. Interesting. We'll have to see what those are. Whether they made it more difficult because people have gotten better at the game and they needed to adjust the difficulty curve, or made it a bit easier because from their data they didn't have enough people completing the quests. Balance and changes to crafting. Adjusted armor crafts now to make the armor vest you need to find a set of fabrics and a ballistic plate that fits the form factor. That's really nice. If crafting your own armors is actually a viable thing, then I'm pretty hyped for that. Adjusted ammo crafts reduce the production time and cost of cheap ammunition. That's really great because right now it's just something that, runs in the background, and sometimes you take out some ammo which you can use then. But there's not a lot of it, so you can't use it all the time. The damage and armor penetration parameters of different caliber ammunition have been revised and adjusted. Of course, with the new plates and armor hitboxes, this has to be done. Who knows what it actually means? It's going to be probably a series of videos all over YouTube explaining everything because no one knows, right? The people who've played the PTR, no, obviously, or the ETS as it's called in Tarkov, the server for testing. They know, but it's just a guess if anyone says anything now, so let's look forward to that. The BTR has been added to the streets of Tarkov, traveling between different stop points in the city. The BTR driver offers various services to his passengers. The taxi service, the player can travel to any available point in the city in total safety. Move items to stash service. The player can send items to the stash with the status found in raid. This service is available only for PMCs. This is actually very interesting. This is very intriguing. I did not even think this would be in the game. This is one of the features added in this patch that I'm actually very interested in finding out how it works as soon as possible. Covering fire service, the player can order covering fire with the help of BTR weaponry, which provides the safest possible drop-off at the stopping point. Service is available only after purchasing the taxi service. The service is only available for PMCs. Okay, so you can actually use the BTR as a scav with the taxi service, but for these two things, you have to be a PMC. Makes sense. List of stop points for Streets of Tarkov. Great. You can get from each corner of the map to the other and to the middle. That's really, really nice. Especially if they expanded streets. The BTR is neutral to all players unless a player starts attacking it first. So does that mean you can destroy it and loot something from it? If someone purchases the covering fire, the BTR becomes hostile. Okay, the cost of service depends on the faction. Buried use like scav karma, charisma, skill level, and travel distance. Okay. The visual effect on painkillers has been changed. Let's go. I did not use painkillers basically ever. Like pre-medding, I never pre-medded last wipe for over like 1,000 hours. Because it was just annoying, right? You couldn't see because of the chromatic aberration and the blurriness in the edges of your screen. So I really hated that. The door to the expanded part of the hideout is now always open after construction. Interesting change. Change the camera system in the hideout from railed to free camera. Ooh. That's really nice because it was kind of annoying moving around the hideout, like top level view before. So now you have these controls, okay. And the last list of changes. Fix several visual bugs and artifacts on streets. Great. Maybe that improves performance as well. Fix incorrect spawn points of random containers on all locations. Fix the problem that led to the lack of damage registrations from melee weapons in some cases. Yes, this has been a problem. I've witnessed it. You don't want this to happen to you once you go for like a troll kill on someone. Fix incorrect behavior of rogues when attacking the hangar buildings on Lighthouse. So do they not rush anymore? Like everyone from every single hangar into one room where you can just mow them down? We'll have to wait and see. Fix an issue where killed bots would remain standing. Sure. Fix the lack of muzzle flash when looking at a shooting player. Very, very good for spotting players at a long distance. Fix AI behavior when interacting with stationary weapons. Anyone's guess what that means. Fix incorrect values of some parameters in character statistics. Yeah, you could get like run distance like -4 million or whatever last wipe. It was a bug, yeah. Fix incorrect camera behavior in the hideout when scrolling in UI elements. No idea what that is. Maybe they introduced that with the new controls and then they also fixed it. Maybe, it's BSG, who knows. Fix several compatibility issues with weapon attachments. Don't know what that's about, didn't notice it, maybe. I don't know. Fix the ability to hear outdoor sounds while inside the bunker on reserve. Let's go. Hopefully it's vice versa also, because you could hear inside the bunker when you were on the 3rd story of the buildings above it. So hopefully they also thought of the other way. But yeah, this video would be over an hour long if I went through all of the ballistics and repair and armor stuff with all of the plates. So hopefully there will be a video after this one talking about that, because it's going to be long and very detailed. So just as an overview of the patch notes for the 14.0.0 patch, hopefully this gave you some insight and overview of what to expect. Honestly, I feel like I'm puzzled by some of these things that are said here more than I was before, because just some incredibly cool and innovative things have been added. So let's see for ourselves. As of making this video, the patch should be live in around 2 hours, so hopefully we'll meet in raid. And if not, then have a great start to your wipe, and yeah, just have fun. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.